we can take from the pandemic and rethink the technologies that define the employee experience. I think that is part of the transformation agenda, is to leverage the technologies that can improve the employee experience and the workplace. Examples are reservations, scheduling spaces so that people know the spaces that they're going to and who's going to be there, managing visitors, using technologies to manage visitors that enter into buildings, wayfinding, touchless, IoT sensors, contact tracking, vaccination certification. So number one is rethinking the technologies that define employee experiences, both for the employee occupied space and tenant spaces, because the importance of the relationship between employer and employee has certainly strengthened throughout this pandemic, but certainly between companies and their customers. I know that there was some discussions on customers, and extending what we do to our customers has certainly changed. Rethinking the technologies that we use and adding them to the ecosystems, looking at global offices differently, addressing the different issues in the different geographies, and certainly rethinking the technologies to support them is also something that is top of mind, because as we understand the different return to office timelines and the different issues that support them. And third, what is very important that has actually been highlighted throughout this pandemic is the importance of communication and using technologies to collaborate. One of the gaps, as we all know, politically, has been inconsistent information, but I think that employees and customer communication, we can certainly leverage technologies to communicate.
We are a Salesforce customer, and we have been for 9 years. And as we started the customer journey with Salesforce, and we created dashboards, we integrated all of our systems so that our salespeople can have a single pane of glass to look at all the information, whether it's logistics information, discount information, or product information, or what people have bought previously. And it became very important through the pandemic because no one had time to talk a lot on a video call because everyone was so tied up, especially our customers. So having information readily available for them. And then start to think about how do we turn that into a self-service model where you can actually let the customer look themselves. We have an omni-channel as well, but why not turn some of that technology towards a commercial customer as well? And then, of course, David mentioned AI, and using AI to actually, to help find out what's going on in our plants. Where is the order? What's shipped? What are we committed to? And bringing that forth. And I also think just knowing what a customer is doing and using the tools to scrub social media, because everyone was posting on social media what was going on with their company. So you didn't have to ask, did your building in Singapore close? You saw it on social media. So having that knowledge and bring that knowledge forward to your customer while you're connected. And sort of using data and using information and actually pushing it towards the salespeople to stay connected with their client, to know more about them, and to actually create that self-serve model so that they could actually help themselves, and thinking about the omni-channel piece. And I think the other piece as well is to sort of turn some of that omni-channel into the buying process to see if they could use it, because the people were buying smaller than big because most people are at home, but they still needed stuff. So I think that whole tie-in of data is very important.
It's really important, I think, as a CIO, to be a business leader first. Technology is the lever that you use to achieve strategy, but you have to be seen as that kind of really trusted advisor around the table to the CEO, aiming for the same things. I think you have to bring ideas to the table. One example I'd give is we did a quick machine learning proof of concept and showed the lending folks, how much more quickly you can make a loan decision, and maybe give some extra controls around those loan decisions. I don't know how long it might have taken a credit risk person to get familiar with machine learning and bring it to the table, but it was one of those things where we thought there's value here in serving the customer and getting operational benefits that maybe isn't going to come from the business. So bringing things like that forward are important, but also bringing architecture to the table. And so educating business users about things like technical debt. Now, I work for a bank, so technical debt's an easy concept to explain to business users in my line of work. But I think you can find language that works for them to understand, the short-term thing that you're asking for, you're going to pay for it for the next 10 years. Here's why. And CRM is a good example of this, where I had everyone saying, I need CRM. Like, well, tell me what business problems you're trying to solve, and then we'll figure out how to tackle these things. And then let's not have silos of silos of silos. Let's, the point David Hodge made earlier, like it's actually kind of having a single, it's a trite saying, but we all kind of are still striving for it, that single view of the customer, the single source of the truth on this. And so we've actually kind of held more control there around things like CRM than we usually would on systems and projects.
In the sense of customer experience, I would say that delivering good experience is really about not just meeting the needs, but anticipating the needs. And technology can play a huge role in that because technology, that enterprise architecture view of the systems, processes, and data is what's going to give us the insights to be able to anticipate needs. For me, I think the biggest challenge that the CIOs have is the plethora of platforms and siloed solutions that are out there. And having this enterprise view and architectural view is what's going to create the solutions for the business. There is no silver bullet. There is no, doesn't matter what the sales deck says, it won't apply 100% to each environment for each of the companies represented here. So the silver bullet is the architecture, it's the governance. And those aren't really the parts that the business wants to hear usually, but at the end of the day, it's like building a house. If you don't have the correct architecture and engineering design, the house can look pretty, but it'll still fall apart. So for me, it's really about architecture. It's really trying to understand what does the business want to do, and then how can we best piece together our environment to be able to give them that in a flexible way.
The role of the CIO is to wear a business hat, to bring that architecture first lens, really look at things as a program and not a project. But importantly, if I think about what the C-suite trusts the CIO to deliver, what are the benefits we're expecting that the business is expecting? What are the capabilities that achieve those financial benefits? What is the cost, right? Not that any of you are managed to cost, but on time, things like that. Number three, what is the time? When can I expect us, right? Because their expectations are unrealistic. And sure, I could give you 10-point projects that none of it works together and you'll end up with a bigger debt problem than you started with. Very, very importantly is what is the risk? What is the likelihood that something's going to go wrong? Are you plus or minus a day, a week, a month, or a year based on these decisions? Are the capabilities that you're delivering plus or minus, again, 2% or 20%? And again, the role that I think of the CIO as both a business leader and an architecture leader is to deliver a very objective view around our ability to deliver and achieve the benefits based on knowing the business, our ability to execute related to the total cost. And that's both internal, external with implementation partners, the time it's going to take us to get said benefits. And importantly, what are the risks we're signing up for when we embark on anything? So as I think about the highly strategic role, it's really bringing that architecture, that business lens to give that trusted perspective around those outcomes that the business is counting on.